Make way for the king of shocking documentary series. Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we'll be discussing Tiger King. How was it made?
I've been doing this 20 years, never even been bit. It's okay.
In this video, we'll be taking a closer look at the production of the hit Netflix original Tiger King: Murder, Mayhem, and Madness. For the uninitiated, this true crime documentary series follows Joe Exotic, the eccentric owner of GW Exotic Animal Park, and explores his conflict with Carole Baskin of Big Cat Rescue, while shining a light on the thoroughly strange world of big cat collectors in America.
I'm as gay as a $3 bill, and I'm standing in a cage with 5 full-grown tigers and lions.
When filmmakers Eric Goode and Rebecca Chaiklin first embarked upon this project, they were envisioning it as an entirely different feature documentary film. Their initial subject was an animal smuggler and reptile breeder operating out of Florida. But a chance encounter with a white leopard in a van led them down a very different path. One centered around a key concept. America is home to more captive tigers than there are left in the wild across the globe.
That set me on this journey to really understand what is going on with people keeping big cats in this country.
The project that would become Tiger King evolved into something else yet again once the key players revealed themselves. As it turns out, the central characters of the big cat debate have even bigger personalities.
Nothing is cooler, sexier, and more significant to the world we live in today than a tiger.
The series might revel in the insanity of its subjects, but for all its shock value, conservation is a constant underlying theme threaded throughout the narrative. Co-director Eric Goode comes from a background of animal conservation, being a member of a number of respected groups. In fact, with a few exceptions, his filmmaking career has been devoted almost exclusively to the subject. His passion in particular is the well-being of turtles, a subject he's explored in feature documentary films like The Argentine Tortoise and In Search of the Okinawa Leaf Turtle, among others.
June and July is the hot, wet season when it rains daily and the turtles become more active.
Though Goode largely kept himself out of the story, he's not without his own quirks and larger-than-life anecdotes. Before getting into documentary filmmaking, he directed music videos for 9 Inch Nails, among other artists, throughout the 90s. Goode is an entrepreneur who's played a major role in shaping the nightlife scene of New York City dating back to the 1980s. The nightclubs, hotels, and bars to his name include Area, B Bar and Grill, The Park, Waverly Inn, Bowery Hotel, and Gemma. Over the years, he's partied with Madonna and dated Naomi Campbell. It's safe to say that Goode is a man of many hats who isn't shy about his passions, and turtles just so happen to be among them. In 2003, he began working with John Baylor of the Wildlife Conservation Society, who encouraged him to pursue wildlife philanthropy. Baylor inspired Goode to open the Turtle Conservancy, which protects turtle and tortoise habitats. The Turtle Conservancy's breeding facility for threatened species, the Baylor Chelonian Center, was named in his honor. It was also the subject of Goode's first documentary film. Given his varied background, Goode was able to bring a unique perspective to Tiger King.
If you talk to the people who have escaped some of these situations, what they'll say is that they were treated so abusively, but not only are they abusing the people that work there, they're abusing the animals there as well.
He recognizes this obsession with exotic animals for what it is, a subculture. Or rather, a whole collection of them separated by the specific animals people covet, each unified by the psychological profile of these collectors.
We hear it's Carole's birthday next month, and we're shipping her 2 of these. Look at the fangs on that.
In the case of those who are driven to own big cats, there's a need to achieve, quote, the status of having a tiger and the attention that gets them.
Why do you choose to call him Bhagavan? Is that how everyone?
That's what we called him.
Bhagavan, which means what?
Lord. It means Lord.
Bhagavan means Lord.
Yeah.
Goode and Chaiklin had stumbled upon a subject the likes of which most documentary filmmakers can only dream of. But telling this convoluted story was no small feat. Archival footage proved essential to piece together the narrative in a digestible way. And lucky for them, even with the destruction of the footage intended for the would-be reality show, there was a wealth of self-documentation.
Tell me you want my goddamn bed, too. Goddamn.
As Chaiklin explains, quote, narcissism was a common thread. And so not only were their various subjects happy to appear on camera, but they had already been filming themselves for social media and other projects, like Joe's web series, for years.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to JoeExoticTV.com.
Though inflated egos seem to be universal in this world, Joe Exotic's hunger for stardom loomed largest, and so he became the central figure of the increasingly surreal narrative. And believe it or not, as chaotic as the series is, Good and Shakelin still had to leave certain facts on the cutting room floor. Joe's music videos appear throughout the series, but what doesn't get addressed in the series is that Joe doesn't actually sing those songs.
This is what I do right here, drive around and listen to myself singing. This old town, where I wanna be, where I'm gonna be.
As reported by journalist Robert Moore, he's lip-syncing in the videos. And it's a group called Clinton Johnson Band who both wrote and recorded his material. Moore also claims that when Joe's cats died, he would sell their skeletons to a museum in Oklahoma City.
So this is goodbye, my last farewell.
Perhaps the biggest bit of backstory not to make it into the series relates to Joe's husbands.
Is he trying to make me blow my top? I don't know.
You see, John, Travis, and Dylan weren't husbands 1, 2, and 3, but rather 3, 4, and 5.
It wasn't weird to share Joe with another guy because Joe had tried for many years to bring other people in, and one day Joe asked me if Travis could be in a relationship with us too.
Joe's first husband, Brian Rhine, sadly died of HIV-related illness. Exotic then took a second husband, J.C. Hartpence, who was notably young and seemingly straight. He is currently in prison for 2 separate crimes: molesting a young girl and murder. Rick Kirkham, the producer of Joe Exotic's would-be reality series, features prominently at the beginning of the series before being relegated to the background.
He's like, I am the Tiger King. I've always been the Tiger King.
Overshadowed by Joe, Kirkham's own remarkable story goes largely untold. During his career as a reporter, Kirkham became addicted to crack cocaine, an addiction that he eventually used as the subject of a 2006 documentary, TV Junkie. He allegedly once interviewed George H.W. Bush about drug abuse while high. After his studio at the zoo burned down, he moved home to Dallas, only for his home to burn down months later. He now lives and works as a reporter in Norway.
I got my dog, I got my truck, I left everything I owned, and I drove, and I left and went back to Dallas. I had a complete nervous breakdown.
In order to make Tiger King, Good and Shakelin had to maintain a sense of neutrality, which, given their respective commitments to animal conservation, was likely difficult.
Animals don't judge you. As long as you're really good at heart, they don't care who you are or what you've done in your past.
Good does say that he regrets never having had the chance to really confront his subjects, or rather not doing it more aggressively. But getting access to these individuals was a feat unto itself, and so the filmmakers had to avoid losing access.
I've been trying to call and they, we want...
This is a private property. You actually have to have permission, sir.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you, have a great day.
Good appealed to their thirst for attention and ingratiated himself with these strange characters, while Shakelin took the lead on editing. Because of the sheer volume of material and the fact that the narrative kept changing, they needed a 7-person editing team. Filmmaking duo Josh and Benny Safdie, directors of the indie hits Uncut Gems and Good Time, helped out during production, while they were wrapping up their 2014 film, Heaven Knows What. The filmmakers did attempt to follow a number of plot lines to their conclusion, but without luck. They endeavored to solve the disappearance of Don Lewis, but were unable to do so.
There's no way that I can finally say, see, I didn't do it. I can't do it.
And instead presented their findings in the Baskin-focused 3rd episode, The Secret.
He said to be sure and get the Costa Rica truck ready because he was leaving early in the morning for Miami. And that was the last thing that he said to me.
The question as to who set fire to the studio and alligator pit also remains unanswered.
I swear that's Rick Kirkman walking in front of the video that morning that it burnt down.
As for the plot to murder Carole Baskin, for all of Joe's willingness to open his zoo to them, the filmmakers were completely unaware of this sinister plan until months after the fact, when Joe came under investigation.
When I do become psychotic, that's my going to Tampa gun.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Though there are many aspects of this story that warrant further investigation, Good and Shakelin have made it clear that continuing the series is extremely unlikely. They have extra footage they could release in some form, but a sequel or second season seems to be out of the question. As Good put it, quote, "You could keep going. I just think my intellectual curiosity has kind of ended."
It will be a cold day in hell before you beat me.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.